Unknown Space presents a product of boredom, a product of nothingness.
The show you're tuned into right now was put together by students and staff enrolled in the broadcasting courses in the radio television department at San Joaquin Delta College.
Unknown Space Radio.
Thanks for listening and supporting college radio.
Tom Argonda.
Humans have been fascinated with death and resurrection.
Alex Talon.
And the point at which someone is completely dead. Now you are going to die. And what is the actual difference between a living creature and a dead body anyway?
Tom Argonda. Alex Talon.
To understand what death is, we need to understand what life is. Unknown Space Radio.
Hello everybody, I'm Thomas Argana and welcome to Anything You Want Me to Be Radio presents Unknown Space Radio B-Sides. If you're not familiar with what Unknown Space Radio is, then understand it as a radio show that ran for 2 seasons throughout the majority of 2020. A show dedicated to overthinking out loud, which mainly entails overthinking aspects of the human experience that keeps us up at night. Love, time, dreams, and death, to name a few. Speaking of death, in the spring of 2020, my co-host Alex and I recorded the second to final episode of Unknown Space Radio Season 1, Real Death. This was an hour-long episode dedicated to death that we ended up having 2 hours worth of content for. The lost hour that didn't make the final cut has remained safe in my computer until now. Welcome to Unknown Space Radio B-Sides, Real Death Part 2.
I don't know. I think the phenomenon of death is just... I mean, it seems like everyone finds it fascinating. And regardless whether that's in a like negative or positive like fascination, and I feel like it's safe to say that everyone has thought about like dying or suicide and stuff. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like I've hit points, like low points in my life where I just like I've said, I don't know, I think a couple episodes ago, where there was just a time of I just didn't want to be alive, you know? But the only thing that really kept me, and I think the only thing that really keeps anybody, is just that fear of like, if I choose to do this, what happens? And I don't know. You talked about like past lives and stuff, and that comes with the notion of reincarnation. And I think reincarnation is something very interesting to think about.
It is very interesting to think about. It's also very scary to think about.
Mm-hmm. And
granted, death is scary to think about.
I honestly think that is like one of the highest like possibilities of afterlife.
I understand that. I think we have, I mean, obviously not exactly the strongest evidence.
Yeah.
But as far as evidence goes,
see, I think
that's
Sorry.
one of the stronger cases, I suppose. Go on, though.
I'd be willing to put my money more into reincarnation rather than like religion, like a religious afterlife where you go to like a heaven or a hell or something. I also believe in purgatory. Like there's just a space where you just go and there's just nothing.
So like just nothing after death, a void?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where I have my vessel aimed towards the most. I don't know. It's just like, I feel like it's exactly going to be like, you remember before you were born? I'm asking.
Huh? Do I remember what it was like before I was born?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I feel like that's just like the closest thing it's going to be. Just nothingness, which is like, that like gets me more like, what do I have to fear? It's nothing. No feelings, just no feelings, no emotion, no anything.
Yeah. See, I think I've come to a point where it's like, I don't want to die, but I don't necessarily not fear death, but I don't fear it. I'm in that middle ground where it's like, I kind of embrace death, but I also don't want to die, like right now. And I don't know if there's a lot of people that feel like that, or if it's just like people are just absolutely afraid of it and just don't want to die. But I
am.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just also in the middle ground because, like I was saying, it's like because where I am kind of pointed towards, I feel like it is that nothingness. It's like, I don't want to die because obviously I still want to see stuff. I still enjoy life. But I have nothing to fear either.
If it were to happen.
If it were to happen, and I'm just going to be straight up nothing. I'm not going to feel anything. I don't know.
I think that the craziest thing is, we've talked about this too. Like, how do we know if it'll happen? How do we know when it happens?
Oh, yeah, we have talked about this. We said, I think I asked you, was this off air? I don't know. But, would you want to know when you die?
Yes, this was on air, I think.
It was?
Yes.
I don't remember what episode that appeared in, but let's bring it back up. Yeah.
I don't know. Because it's just like, because there's obviously, if you can die and like, you're going to die, like someone shoots you or stabs you or something. But
yeah,
like,
and that's a whole lot different from like being asleep.
Yeah.
Just passing on in your sleep.
I think being like just going naturally is scarier than knowing you're going to die.
When it comes to death, obviously, whether we embrace it or whatever, we all kind of have a fear of it. And I feel like it's either a fear of the unknown or the fear of missing out. Where do you think you place in that? Which I think you might have said this already. Was it?
It's the fear of the unknown, yeah. Because the fear of missing out, I don't think that really, to me, that doesn't really mean much because
obviously
it's like,
you're gonna miss out.
Yeah, if you die, you're not gonna just be there. There's not gonna be anything really to miss or miss out. But it's just, you don't know what's gonna happen like afterwards, and I think it's really interesting that people who die but like they're able to come back, like they resuscitate them or whatever. That's a crazy phenomenon. Yeah, and how they don't have an answer of like what happened.
They say like, don't they like usually say they see like a white light or something like that?
See, but how do you know that's just not acting? Because there's people that like, oh yeah, I died and oh, Jesus talked to me, God talked to me and stuff. Like, how do you not know that's just like acting?
I got no clue, but that's a strange phenomenon.
The people who only really have answers are people who we physically know who have died, and came back, but I don't know anyone like that, and I don't think you know anyone like that.
I think I've known some liars who said that before, but no, keep going. No, but the point is, yeah, I think when it comes to death, obviously no one has the answers to it except for the dead. But how are we going to get answers? Do you believe in ghosts?
Yeah, I do believe in ghosts. And I know people tell me that's like hypocritical for, I guess it's not really hypocritical. It's more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's
kind of a contradiction. No?
Yeah, it's it's a contradiction because I believe in ghosts and I believe in spirits and stuff, but I don't believe in like a religion. I don't believe in like God or
I think that's two different things.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because I've always been told that it has to be a thing. You have to have like a God and a heaven or a hell if you have spirits and stuff.
Yeah, but shouldn't they be in like heaven or hell? Do you think this is their purgatory?
Well, maybe.
Still on Earth?
There's always that argument that like, and I don't particularly care for this argument, but it's like, well, it's because they still have stuff they need to do here. And I don't agree with that. You saw a ghost story.
Yes,
and
I was
I've
just
also seen a ghost
that.
story. So yes, I think it is a purgatory.
Just like, man, ooh. But what are they waiting for? Because purgatory, at least what I know of purgatory, it's the waiting room.
They
what are they waiting for?
They might not be waiting for anything. They might just be stuck here.
Actually, that's understandable. Come think about it.
But if that's the case, why don't we have more? Why don't we see more? Why don't we experience more like paranormal stuff? I want to go back to the dreams though. This is actually one of my topics. What if there was a while, and I've talked about this before, where there was a while that I was just like getting such little sleep that I just started to lose what was real and what was a dream. And how do we not know that death is just a like dream, or death is just like what I experienced, where it's just this unclear cloud of consciousness and reality? Because like we said, we don't know when we die. How do we not know when we're dreaming we're dead? Or how do we not know when we're awake we're dead, and when we're asleep we're alive? Like, it's flipped, you know? It's a super crazy and, I don't know, I guess weird way of thinking about
death
it.
Could just be the forever sleep.
Yeah, actually, I kind of do.
Yeah, that's, but I mean, we know, well, I mean, there's actually some science to it, because people, when they sleep, there's obviously, still brain activity. But when we're dead, there's no brain activity. Which I think, if I'm being honest, I think the brain is kind of obviously everybody is centric to their brain.
Mm-hmm. The brain is the universe?
That's the question. Like, once that turns off, where do we go? But going back to what you're saying, that doesn't sound half bad. as far as, I mean, granted, it has to be a dream rather than a nightmare. But, I mean, still, that raises so much questions.
What if it's both? A dream and a nightmare? Yeah.
And you're just kind of roaming this world of both dreams and nightmares.
Or what if it's, you ever have like a dream within a dream? Or a dream and then another dream in that dream, but like they're entirely separated?
Yes.
What if it's just like that, where it's just a constant like flip of dreams.
I like I said, that doesn't sound half bad, as long as I'm, you know, not. I don't know, man. It's a scary thought, especially because dreams and nightmares are so, like you said, just a blurry cloud of consciousness. It's like, I don't know. What if it is? It could be, I guess there's a lot worse scenarios, as in death just being nothingness, or even hell. I don't know.
Unknown Space Radio. Unknown Space Radio. Unknown Space Radio.
We're going to take a short PSA break, but we'll be back here on Delta College Radio 93.5 KWDC.
Tom Margonda, Alex Zalon.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
In healthcare, misinformation can be as deadly as the most serious disease and spread just as quickly. For years now, myths about childhood immunizations have been spreading on the internet and social media. The physicians of the Illinois State Medical Society urge parents to know the facts and get your child immunized. Immunizations are scientifically proven to be safe and effective, and failure to immunize can harm your children and others. Talk to your child's doctor to get the facts about immunizations.
I mean, I think about hell every now and then, and sometimes I think that there is a hell, but there isn't a heaven. And a part of me thinks that there's the reason, back up. I think the reason why I think hell would exist more than a heaven is because there's a lot of evil and a lot of like bad in this world. And I don't know. People can get away with a lot of bad stuff their entire life and then they just die. And like, let's take, I don't know, Hitler, for example. He killed himself after doing everything he did. He faced absolutely no consequence for anything he did. And just people like that didn't necessarily, I don't know. I believe in actions have consequences, even if they're not tangible, even if they're not right away. And I think no matter what you do, it's going to have some sort of consequence or some sort of reaction. And there are people who live their life without any reaction. So there's got to be some sort of answer to that. Unless they just die and that's it, which is, it's sad to think that, but that probably is what happens. I would like people to, the people who deserve punishments should get punishments, but it's probably just, death is just death. They just died, and there's nothing that's going to happen that punishes them for it.
Yeah, I think post-death eternal punishment is a lot more harsh than straight up nothingness, obviously. So in that situation, I think you can only hope bad people are paying for their sins, I suppose. On the topic of the afterlife, I've been thinking about heaven lately. What are your, would you want that? Would you want heaven? If it's an option, I assume everybody would, but I think our kind of the scenarios we just talked about might be a little bit more interesting, but would you want heaven?
I don't know, because I mean, I'm not very religious, and I haven't really done any biblical studying, so I don't really know what heaven promises. But in my interpretation of heaven, it's like a place you go after you die, and everyone else who's died before you is also there. But do you really want to be with those people forever? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's like...
That becomes such a hard situation, because at that point, it's like, when am I going to see you there? When am I going to see my mother? When am I going to see my father? I think, talking in terms of people that are on the other side, there are people for me. So it's not like I'm going to be alone if I were to die right now, but how heavenly could it be if my mother and father aren't there? If my close friends aren't there, grandparents and such.
That's what I was thinking. Like, if you're there and everyone else isn't, like, I know there's a thing that if you do go to heaven, that you don't feel bad for going to heaven because, like, you're kind of stripped away of grief and guilt for leaving people because you died and other people didn't, and you're going to go to heaven and other people aren't there yet. But what if that isn't the case? Like, what if when you die and if you do go to heaven, you do remember everything and you do remember people, and because the people aren't there that were close to you or that you love aren't there yet, you kind of just sit there and wait and wait and wait, like, when are they going to arrive? But when they do arrive, it's like, oh, they just died too, you know?
That's kind of a harsh feeling. Knowing somebody that, I mean, granted, it's cool that they're there and all, but they've lost somebody now at that point. Somebody who's lost them. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. On the topic of, I don't know, dead relatives and such, man, I was having a really harsh thought the other night, because, do you know Eric Clapton?
Vaguely, I know his name.
Okay. I mean, that doesn't really matter, but there's a song by him. Not that I even like the song, but I was just thinking about it. The lyrics kind of go, if I saw you, wait, would it be the same if I saw you in heaven? I was really thinking, like, about because I'm still mourning some deaths in my life. I was thinking, if that was a situation, it would not be the same. It's a harsh thought, but, like, the people I have waiting for me on the other side, these are people I have not talked to in a long time. And I was just thinking, like, yeah, if I were to die right now, it'd be kind of, I wouldn't say weird, because at first it'd be a loving feeling, but I am not the same person they knew.
That, yeah.
And I don't know, it's like, I don't know, that's a rough thought. I shouldn't even be thinking about that.
But I think it's okay to think that, because, I mean, people change, people grow up, people go through things that change them. And even if those people were still alive, they would still notice that change.
Yeah.
That change is inevitable. So I think it's okay to feel that.
So you think it would be the same because they'd kind of understand people change? They're like, I don't know. I suppose I'm still me, even though I'm not me from 3 years ago, 7 years ago or so. Maybe somebody could look at that and still see, I don't know, the child in me or whatever.
I think they would still see you.
Yeah.
Regardless how much you've changed, unless you're like, I don't know, like you've turned into like a monster or something that like does bad things all the time.
Turned into a total menace in between now and then.
You're still you.
It's a good question. And obviously this entire episode, these kind of questions are going to have no answers to. Because this is like the most... I think this is probably going to be the most uncertain episode we've done so far.
This is unknown space radio at its roots.
Yeah, honestly. Like, I mean, it's kind of impressive we went this long. A show that's kind of like existentialism centric. We're just talking about death now. But I mean, we kind of held ourselves back on that.
Unknown Space Radio has been a production of KWDC 93.5 LPFM, Delta College Radio. This program is made possible by listeners like you. Programming is produced by the students, staff, and faculty of San Joaquin Delta College's Radio Television Department. It is supported by the Delta College Department of Arts, Humanities, and Multimedia, the Career Technical Education and the Workforce Development Office, and the State of California. Thank you for listening. Perchiel, the archdemon of dying times, Winter. Sabnak, demon of poisons, dreams. Anael, demon of lust, love. Lahad, the devil voice. Vetus, the life promiser. Zephyr, deforms the unborn. Nathaniel Joseph. Ambriel, the great changer, time. Surgat, who opens all locks, reality is falling apart. Cheddar, the wish granter, media. Eologos, visible and invisible, the unknown soldier. Stygel, who brings death. Tom and Alex are dead. All demons will rest tonight. Thank you for listening to Unknown Space Radio.